Hi guys, my name is Celeste. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my space. And today I want to talk about starseeds. And I thought this video would come really handy because I thought to myself, I wish somebody would have told me this 5 or 10 years ago. And there's a ton of videos now on starseeds. Um, so you guys can get a lot of good information out there. And I think, one of the reasons why I want to do this video is because I've noticed that the more I hear the same things or I pick up strands of information from different places, I do start to first feel comforted and I start to realize that it's real, it's true. It's one thing to hear something from one person and never really hear that information or that part of the story ever again. But when you have a lot of people standing up around the world and saying things that are similar, talking about starseeds, talking about this process, what it involves, what it takes, I started to, as the years went by, become a lot more comforted. And I hope to bring that to you. So I thought it would be great to talk about 3 things that all starseeds should know. And again, I wish I would have known this. And it's one thing to know something, and it's another thing to feel it, right? To really know it in your heart. So let's get started. Number 1, be unique to you. Now, again, it's one of those things where it's a lot easier said than done, right? Because what does it mean to be unique? It means that you're going to be different. You already are different. If you're watching this video and you clicked on something that said Starseed, you're a Starseed, right? You have an affiliation and you feel your Starseed connection, right? So that automatically makes you feel different. But how different are you, right? If there's Starseeds waking up all over the world, you're really not that different, but you are. Right? The yin and yang, the black and white, we're all one. So it's really important to be okay with being uniquely different to who you are as a starseed. So what does that mean? A lot of times when you start on this path, you're like, oh, I'm a starseed. Okay, I have a connection to the stars and to ET races, and I feel very called to something out there. Great. So the first thing you start to do is maybe you Google different alien races and you're like, oh, Pleiadian, oh, Orion, oh, Androdaman. And maybe some resonate and maybe some don't. And all of a sudden, automatically your ego wants to say, oh, I'm Pleiadian, oh, I'm Sirian, or I'm not this or I'm not that. And we try to grab on to not being different. Oh, it's okay, I'm part of you guys now, so I'm not different anymore. And I just want to say, we're all going to experience it, and that's okay to go through that. So if that's where you are, if that's what you're feeling, or if that's who you are, you feel affiliated to that star system, that's great. But I encourage you and I challenge you to not stay there, to keep going and keep challenging yourself, because honestly, guys, we're all infinite beings. And yes, you may be very strongly affiliated to one star system, but our Akash and where we come from and all that we truly are, we are so infinite beyond measure that it took me so many years to realize that, yes, I feel like the Pleiadians are my brothers and sisters. I feel like the Sirians are neighbors. But at the same time, I feel so much more. And I feel that through the years, I would sort of cling on to different star systems. And then at some point, I continued to do my work and I continued to do regressions and I continued to do my research. And I realized, in my personal case, I'm actually from an angelic celestial realm. So I wouldn't even give it, in my regressions, it doesn't even come out as a star system that's known in the books. And I haven't come across that until a few weeks ago when I was watching a few people talk about in their videos how they read for starseeds. And a lot of times we come from places so far, and that's what came in my regression. It's so far and so out of our mental field that there's no names. Like you don't see it on a star map, and you don't see like, oh, on the northeast corner, that's what, it's not that black and white. And for me to have been okay with that and say like, I don't have anything tangible to hold on to. I'm just from there, as we all are, and now I'm in here in this body, in this world, and it's beautiful. And that lack of definition, although it took me a hard time to be okay with, is now almost a place of freedom for me and a place for expression, because it gives me this playground of exploration. And it just goes back to me saying like, be unique, because if we say that we are like this star system, then you'd look at like those talents and those unique gifts, and then you're like, okay, well then I have to be that and I have to activate that, and then you just go into this box again, like, oh great, I'm back into this box type of thinking. Whereas the whole process of awakening is really to notice that you're infinite. Like you're only as limited as you want to be, and your talents and your gifts and your possibilities in this life can be as expansive as you want them to be. So be unique, and that means being different. That means being true to yourself, and honest with yourself. And a part of that for me has really been opening up my heart, and just being compassionate and less judgmental about the entire process towards myself, really, and then towards everybody else. Because that will allow you to have space to be unique in your own way. And some of you may know I feel very connected to Lemuria, and that's what's been opening up for me the past few years. And I've yet to even explore that on a deeper level, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm only Lemurian, right? That just means that I feel very affiliated to that, and there's gifts and talents for me there. But then once I receive what I need to receive from there, then whatever comes, let it be, right? So allow yourself to be unique and not be sort of guided and led by the things that you read or you listen to, okay? And that will in itself allow you to activate your gifts, because you're not going back to this box type of thinking. You're allowing yourself to sort of live in this childhood situation where you don't know what's going to activate. You don't know what's going to come up for you in life. And it's almost a little bit more fun, as opposed to just being like, oh, this is my spiritual talent because I'm a Pleiadian, and so I'm just working towards that goal. Again, it's very common to be in that position, and I found myself very often doing that. So it's a constant practice to go back to, wait, let me be open. Let me receive what it is that I'm meant to receive, no matter where it's supposed to come from. I'm infinite, and whatever is meant to be will come and will activate, and it'll just express itself naturally, uniquely to me and my expression, right? Okay, number 2. So I had a regression by this great esoteric wizard in New York. He's a Dolores Cannon, I guess you can say, therapist. And I'll never forget the phrase he used. He said, "You're here to ruffle feathers," right? And when he first said that, it did not sit well with me. Why? I grew up in a very, like, this is what you do, this is what you study, this is how you work, blah, blah, blah. Which is the exact opposite of create chaos, create change, ruffle feathers, move stuff out of the way that you don't like, find out your unique talents and gifts, find out who you truly are, and express and be free and be you. So ruffle feathers, and it's so true. It's so true. Like when I met my partner and we came together, it was like everything that we did, every decision that we ever made was just completely against everything that's ever been done in his lineage and mine. It was just, he comes from a very cultural background, and I come from also a very different cultural background. And we're actually both Argentine. And he's half Puerto Rican in New York. That's besides the point. The point is that when we came together, we became like this explosion of ruffling feathers, because everyone around us had these expectations of, this is what you're supposed to do and this is how it goes. And it didn't resonate with us. None of it did. The way that people wanted us to live, the way that you're supposed to plan for life, all these different things. It was like, we don't want to do any of that stuff. And not because we want to, be chaotic or mean. It just doesn't resonate with our true essence. And that, of course, it goes back to being unique. But I think a part of being unique and being able to create space so that you can be true to your heart is also knowing that you are going to ruffle feathers. And, ultimately, the people that will be by your side will always be by your side. And then there's going to be people that will come and they'll go, and that's okay as well. It doesn't mean that you've lost people forever, or that you have to say goodbye or turn your back on anybody or anything. It just means that you're taking a different route and you just need space for the time being, and that space could last weeks, could last months, it could be years. But looking back, the people that have come and gone, we've realized that it was more important for us to be true to ourselves and to what resonated for us than it was to cater to somebody else's desires. So if you're watching this and you are a starseed and you feel like you don't want to live life according to what your parents want you to do or what your boss or whatever, I want you to know that it's okay. Like, I also grew up feeling that. And if you genuinely follow your heart, and like, I genuinely believe in not doing things on purpose to harm people. And, we do our best with that. It sounds nice, but sometimes, yeah, you may harm people along the way because they might emotionally get hurt. But I think a part of this is really owning up to who you are, what resonates in your true heart, and knowing that your truth is like your light, and your light will stand on its own. And so perhaps it will take time for people to come around, but I can tell you that they will. They will come around if you are centered in your heart and you do things your way. So ruffling feathers, and to be like very, very specific, we've had a ridiculous amount of family chaos and, just like walls breaking down and like people completely like turning their backs on us and like just like ridiculous things I hear like that would not actually happen. Like, that person would not do that. Like, your parents would not do that. And you're like, this is pretty intense. Like, when you go against cultural norms and traditions, it's just what it is. This stuff has been ingrained in people and in their cultures and their blood and their lineage and their DNA for generations upon generations. So it only makes sense that people take this in such a heartfelt way. So I just want to give you that extra encouragement of whatever, like, do you, honestly, like, be you and be honest with who you are. Check in with yourself. Like, if I need to go against what my family's wishes are, am I doing this on purpose to hurt them, to get back at them for some reason? And that's where the fine line is. Like, how do you genuinely know? And I believe that when you can sit down in a calm place, or you can be in your meditative state, and for some of us that's moving or painting or drawing or meditating or whatever it is, when you can find this place that you come into your heart and you genuinely ask for guidance, and you genuinely ask to connect to your truth and what is good for your highest evolution and your highest good, then you can make a choice from there and do it for you. And whatever waves go out, let them be. It's like the ocean, if you think about it, right? Of course, I would go back to the ocean, Lemurian here. The ocean stands for herself. And if there's a tsunami, or if there's crazy waves, or if there's a hurricane, the waters spread, and what has to happen will happen. But everything at some point will settle, and it will come back. And so that's part of nature, that's part of change, it's part of life and death. Like, in order for us to be something new, right? There's star seeds waking up all over the world. We're going to create change. That's what we came in here to do. Like, if I came into this body, right, and I just followed everything that my parents wanted me to do, or what my husband's parents, or whatever everybody else wanted me to do, like, the hell would be the point of, like, traveling across galaxies and being here and, like, training just to be in this body and be like, I'm just gonna, like, fit in my matrix. Like, completely null. It's not gonna work, you know? Your soul's not gonna be happy. You're probably gonna turn off. And then, you know, I see a lot of star seeds with depression, and this is kind of going off sidetrack, but I'm just gonna go into it because I was in deep, deep depression for a long time, and I am seeing, and I have star seeds reaching out to me, and even people that don't even consider themselves star seeds, just people that feel completely disconnected to life. And they're in this state of depression, and there's different levels of depression. There's this background feeling of disconnectedness, and you just kind of go throughout your life and it's fine. It's like blah. I'm just going to wake up, I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to do the same thing every day. And you just feel disconnected, you know? And then there's like this deep level, and there's a lot of in between, right? But then there's this deep place where, you know, like, I'm depressed. I don't want to be here. And that's a very common thing for starseeds, and I went through that, and I've experienced that very deeply. And I can tell you it was directly linked to the fact that, one, I was not allowing myself to be unique. I was not accepting my gifts and my natural abilities and my natural connections, not only to the stars, but also to my intuition and to my natural abilities, you know? But also, I wasn't allowing myself to create enough ruffles out in the world. I wasn't allowing myself to be chaotic enough for other people to see the change that I was bringing forth into this world. And so because of that, I was in a depressive state. And I didn't know that at the time. It took me a very long time to snap out of the depression, and then, you know, years later look back and say, oh, I was depressed because of that. So if you're a starseed and you feel depressed or you feel disconnected, I challenge you right now to ruffle feathers, to be unique, to express yourself. And you know what? When you say that's scary, good. Face your fears. I want you to on yourself, okay? That's how you should feel, because that fire, that expression of holy shit, like, that's scary, yeah, that's what's gonna burn you up, light you up, and wake you up and want to be, like, out there in the world. And that's gonna get you out of that depression or that feeling of disconnection. So if you feel disconnected or depressed at any level of it, don't just let it linger. Ruffle feathers. That was number 2. That was a long one. Okay, number 3, last one. You're not alone. You're not alone. Through this process for so many years, you know, I always say it was because of my husband that was by my side that I was able to get through so much of it. To this point now that I can actually talk about it, because up until this point, like, I wasn't talking to anybody about it. I wasn't okay with it. I wasn't okay with that part of myself, with being a starseed and having psychic abilities and being able to connect. Because I thought I was the only one. And I thought that nobody would understand me except my husband. And my husband's very earthly. He doesn't consider himself a starseed, although we all have starseed origins and star DNA within us. He's more of the earthly one, right? So he keeps me very grounded, and he has supported me through this process. But outside of him, I felt that nobody in the world would ever feel me and understand me, right? And so that's what led to the whole depression. But aside of that, I really thought I was alone. And years ago, there wasn't that as much information as there is now. So thankfully, you guys have a lot more information now. There's a lot more people speaking up about it. But generally know that you're really not alone. Like, I see communities and I see people talking about this all over the world. Like, I'm in Miami Beach and there's people talking about being a starseed and waking up. So it's not just vortex sites. You don't just have to go to the Himalayas and the mountains. There's people everywhere. And if they're not talking about it, they're experiencing it. So I challenge you to just do something that's going to allow you to just find your way to connect to a community. Like, find your people. Go on Facebook. There's a million Starseed communities. YouTube, you guys already found this video. Like, find somebody that you can relate to and be like, yes, I feel you. That's exactly what I'm going through. And once you feel that like string of connection, and then you realize, oh, I'm not alone, then all these things start to come to you and you start to feel supported by life. And when you start to feel supported by life, you live from that place and life starts to interact with you and you start to give and receive all of these gifts that are inherent to all of us. Okay, so that's my video for today. Your 3 things that you should know as a starseed. I hope this helps. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys and your experiences and what else you'd like to know. Okay, blessings.